He sat there with the calm confidence of someone who had spent years behind the bench. His voice was measured, his tone sharp, but never rushed. Judge Amul Thapar leaned forward, prepared to corner his opponent with a line of questioning he believed would leave no room for escape. In that moment, the room grew tense. The cameras zoomed in. Everyone watching expected Representative Jasmine Crockett to falter under the weight of a federal judge's words. But what came next would silence those expectations and turn the entire exchange into a defining moment. Jasmine Crockett didn't blink. She didn't stutter. She didn't look for an exit. Instead, she locked eyes with Judge Thapar and delivered her response with such clarity and strength that it didn't just answer his question. It shattered the attempt to control her. And the more he pressed, the stronger she became. To understand why this moment shook so many people, you have to know who these two individuals are. Amul Thapar, a federal judge appointed during a turbulent political era, built his reputation on being methodical, tough, and unyielding. He is one of the most prominent South Asian voices in the judiciary, often considered a rising figure within conservative legal circles. His style is precise, his authority undeniable. When Judge Thapar asks a question, he expects control. On the other side sat Jasmine Crockett, a rising Democratic representative from Texas, known not only for her sharp legal mind, but also for her fiery, unapologetic defense of her principles. She's a lawyer by training, someone who has spent years in courtrooms herself. But more than her resume, what defines Crockett is her courage, her ability to speak truth to power without hesitation. She is direct, she is bold, and in moments when most people would shrink back, she steps forward. Now, picture this setting. The cameras are rolling. The room is filled with quiet tension, the kind of silence that tells you something important is about to unfold. Judge Thapar begins with a carefully constructed question, the kind designed to box someone in. It's not shouted. It's not aggressive on the surface. But underneath, it carries weight. It carries the subtle force of authority. Many in the room lean in, waiting to see how Crockett will respond. She doesn't take the bait. Her voice is calm, but there's fire underneath. She answers directly, dismantling the premise of his question. Judge Thapar tries again, shifting his angle, attempting to reframe. But Jasmine stays steady. Each time he builds a corner, she finds the way out, not with evasion, but with precision. Her words cut through the atmosphere like a blade, sharp and clear. And here's the thing about moments like this. It's never just about the words being spoken. It's about the energy. It's about the power dynamics. Thapar had the robe, the title, the bench. Crockett had only her voice. But in that exchange, it was her voice that carried the weight. It was her presence that filled the room. The more he pushed, the more it became clear this was not going to be a story of a judge silencing a representative. This was the story of a representative standing unshaken, turning every question into a platform for truth. And you could see the shift, not just in the tone, but in the body language. Thapar's control began to slip. Crockett's composure grew stronger. This back and forth wasn't just a debate. It was symbolic. It represented something much larger. The clash between established authority and emerging courage. It was about whether titles and positions are enough to silence someone who refuses to bow. Outside that room, the reactions were immediate. Clips of the exchange spread across social media. Some applauded Crockett for her strength, for refusing to be cornered. Others defended Thapar, insisting he was simply doing what judges do, pressing hard questions. But regardless of the spin, one fact remained undeniable. Jasmine Crockett did not break. And maybe that's why people couldn't stop talking about it. Because in a world where power often intimidates, where voices are silenced not by logic, but by authority, witnessing someone stand their ground so firmly is rare. It's powerful. It's inspiring. Let's take a step back and think about Jasmine Crockett's journey for a moment. She wasn't born into political power. She didn't inherit influence. She built her career from the ground up, first as a public defender, standing beside those who didn't have the resources to fight for themselves. That kind of work doesn't just sharpen your legal mind. It builds resilience. It forces you to stare down impossible odds and still show up with courage. So when she faced Judge Thapar, it wasn't just another debate. It was the culmination of years of preparation, years of learning how to stand in the fire without losing her balance. And that's why she shut him down so effortlessly. It wasn't arrogance. It wasn't theatrics. It was confidence rooted in experience. And what about Thapar? For all his authority, this moment will likely be remembered as a rare miscalculation. He believed his questions would corner her. But instead, they gave her the stage. They gave her the chance to show strength in a way that no prepared speech ever could. This is what makes exchanges like these so unforgettable. They're not scripted. They're not rehearsed. They are raw, real, unscripted collisions of personality, intellect, and willpower. And when someone rises above in that setting, it resonates. Imagine watching this live. The hush in the room, the slow build of tension with each exchange. This wasn't the story of a judge successfully pressing a representative. It was the story of a representative who proved that no question, no pressure, and no attempt at control can break someone who refuses to bend. As the cameras shut off and the exchange ended, one thing was certain. Jasmine Crockett walked out not as someone who had survived a grilling, but as someone who had turned the tables. She left with her head high and with a message echoing far beyond that room. And maybe that's why we're still talking about it now. Because moments like these remind us that no matter how high the seat of power, it is never beyond challenge. And when truth stands up to authority, the world notices. So remember this. Courage doesn't need a title. It doesn't need a robe. It doesn't need permission. Courage simply needs a voice. And when that voice refuses to be silenced, it can shut down even the most powerful attempt to corner it. Because sometimes the strongest thing you can do is look power in the eye and refuse to move.